What's up, guys? We finally did it. We went 6-3 for week one, up 2.7 units. If you are $100 better, that means you just made $270. And then when you subtract the amount that I charge for giving you these picks, which is zero fucking dollars, you're still up $270. Can I promise you something right now? Because I can't promise you we're going to win every week. I can't do that. We're going to have shitty weeks. Fucking shit happens. But I can promise you that I will never charge you for picks. I may bring up other shit that you may or may not want to buy. I will never charge you for picks. Please don't ever pay for picks because they're going to have bad weeks too. And as lucky as some of us are, you may end up paying those $200 when that person has a shitty week. And guess what? Even if they have an okay week and they break even, your ass did not because you had to pay for those picks. So please don't pay for picks. Whether it's me, Sports Gambling Network, Mayo Media, whoever the hell you want to go with, please do the right thing, be responsible, and get your picks for free. Secondly, let's move on to week two. Let's not stay slobbing on my knob too long. Oh, just to throw in, I did go 4-2 with the props. Pretty good. Altogether, that would add another 1.8 units if you're playing a whole unit per prop. So great, and we'll go over those picks as far as like breaking them down and goods and bads and all that kind of stuff later on. I don't have a lot of time right now because I want to give you the picks for week two before the lines move. I'm already seeing some of them move, seeing the juice move, and it's only Monday morning on a week one recap. So first pick, got to get it out there as soon as possible, and that's going to be the Saints -3 for week two. The Saints -3. If you go back and watch the games, both of these games, respectively, of course, from last week, the Saints really should have had a bigger win against the Titans. They had several big plays, just down the field to almost every single receiver. Michael Thomas had good plays. Chris Olave had good plays. Rashid Shaheed had a touchdown and some deep plays. I mean, these guys were connecting on deep balls. I did not think that this was going to happen. I really don't think Derek Carr is all that great. And if you had asked me before the game, I wouldn't have said they won or not, which is kind of why I stay off the game entirely. But I would have definitely told you I didn't expect a whole lot from Derek Carr, and he would have shut me right the hell up. So really, really impressive as far as just the actual receiving talent, and that's to say that these guys didn't really play a whole lot in the preseason, especially not together. The Titans shouldn't even have gotten as many points as they did. They ended up getting a cheap field goal at the beginning of the game because the damn Saints fumbled the initial opening kickoff. So give them 3 points for that. Great, they got it. I don't think that's something that you can count on. The Saints defense was pretty stout. They put a pretty good brick wall there in front of Derrick Henry. Tajay Spears had a couple of decent plays, decent runs, but just nothing really crazy. Derrick Henry, obviously, he got his yards. He's one of the props that we did hit at under 90 yards. Did fine. I said this before that game happened that the Saints are traditionally pretty good at stopping the run. They still are. Defensive line still got after it. They did have, I believe, 2 interceptions. So 3 interceptions off of Ryan Tannehill's mess ups. One of them was just him and DeAndre Hopkins not on the same page, and some of that is probably because they haven't played together a whole lot. But the other 2 were defensive pressure coming up the middle on Ryan Tannehill, causing the interceptions. So just, again, good defense, really explosive offensive plays. The running game wasn't there so much. Obviously, Kamara suspended. The rest of the running game was kind of so-so. Taysom Hill got a couple carries even that just seemed like almost wasted plays. But overall, they were pretty good and effective and efficient on offense, and I didn't expect that. Now, one thing I will say, and the one thing that does scare me in this game, and I'm going to tell you right now, just to let you know if you don't want to get on the game, the Saints, and specifically Dennis Allen, their coach, is very conservative. And I don't mean that he won't ever call big plays or anything like that, but more specifically when he has the lead, especially in like the fourth quarter, The guy plays like he's gonna have to keep, be fucking charged for every pass that he calls up. I don't know what it is, but ever since this guy has been a coach in the NFL, not just with the Saints, he had a prior job in the NFL. When he has a lead, he tries to run the ball so often and just so early that it's inefficient. Everybody knows what's coming up, and he ends up leaving the opponent in the game way longer than they needed to be. And I'm not saying when they're up like 20 points. I mean, they're up by like a touchdown, and it's the middle of the third quarter, and this guy's over here trying to fucking run out the clock. That's gonna be annoying. It's frustrating, and I can almost guarantee you that this is gonna come down to, the last minute or two of the game with this Saints Week 2 game against the Panthers. The reason that I still like it though, and the reason I'm still on this game, is because one, that's the only way I see the Panthers covering this. And if you get it now and you get it exactly at the 3, for them to cover and not win, that is the Panthers, is gonna be pretty difficult. I think at worst we maybe just get a push out of this, but I'm almost positive. Well, I would say going into the week that this should be a win for the Saints. On the flip side of the ball, the Panthers, again, if you go back and watch that game, they looked fine on the scoreboard. They put up a total of 10 points, which, whatever. They did obviously lose the game, and it really wasn't all that close. But I will say they're very conservative. They're going to run the ball a lot, of course, right? They're the Panthers. Miles Sanders looked okay. Chuba Hubbard had a couple of explosive runs, a couple like 10, 15-yarders. Looked fine. Bryce Young connected on one pretty decent shot. He connected on a touchdown with Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst, by the way, if you're looking at fantasy or like props or anything like that, Hayden Hurst is easily the preferred target of Bryce Young. He's definitely the security blanket. He's the short route guy, the hey, I'm under pressure, my guy's open kind of guy. Hayden Hurst is the security blanket. He's gonna get targeted. He's gonna get peppered. I thought going into this game it may have been Adam Thielen, and he got a couple of shots, but Hayden Hurst is the guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is higher up on the touchdown count by the end of the season. Bryce Young just really hesitant to run and just was not looking to run at all, and I don't think that that's part of his game necessarily, so it's not a huge knock on him, but I would be very hesitant if you're taking any like rushing props on the guy, or if you're thinking that defensive pressure, like in this case with the Saints, is going to get to him. I would be very hesitant to think that he is going to, make some magic happen, pick up first downs, and escape pressure and stuff like that. Either he's being coached that way, or he's just, generally like that. But either way, the guy's just very, very hesitant to run. There's a lot of times in this game where he had wide open lanes, and he just would not take it against the Falcons. The Falcons, on the flip side here, they did, run, and they had obviously a very successful game against the Panthers. They were able to run up and down the field. Tyler Algier had 2 touchdowns. Bijan had a touchdown. I mean, they were doing just fine. The one thing I will say is that the Falcons didn't really test out the secondary of the Panthers, and a lot of that obviously is by design. They don't have a whole lot of great receiving options themselves. But Kyle Pitts was able to catch or haul in one bomb of a pass from Ritter at, I believe, like the 2 or 3 yard line. Looked really, really good. I was surprised the guy caught the ball. Matt Collins had a couple of like just in-crossing routes. Not super deep passes, not super difficult, but I mean the guy was wide the fuck open. It was like he had 2-3 steps before anybody was even in the picture. Just the secondary from the Panthers, again, not really getting tested in this game. And I don't think the Falcons really gave a shit. But the Panthers, when they did have to defend the pass, just didn't really look that great. And that's to say that Ritter is not all that good. And again, the receiving options on that Falcons team are not all that good. I believe there was for sure a second play where Pitts could have got another deep ball down the field. I think he just got ruled like out of bounds. But just a couple of plays. They really didn't take too many shots. A lot of underneath, crossing route stuff when they did pass. A lot of it again to Matt Collins, and it looked fine. But the bigger point for me is that the Panthers their secondary. I'm very, very curious to see how they look when they get tested against a team that actually wants to throw the ball, that actually has options to catch the ball. Because in this one, they just did not look very good. Now, the Panthers did have a really good defensive line. Even though the Falcons were able to run on them, the Falcons worked for those rushing yards several times, especially when Ritter had to drop back for a pass. Brian Burns was in his face, just causing pressure, constantly making him move in the pocket, climb up in the pocket, escape the pocket. Ritter was, I mean, I don't blame them for not taking too many shots downfield. That defensive front was really getting after him. Now, a lot of the stuff that the running backs did do well on, it was outside runs. On Bijan's touchdown in particular, there's actually like a little bubble screen on the side. You've probably seen the highlight by now. But that was where the Falcons found a lot of their success. And I think for the Falcons' point of view, because that is one of the teams, if you remember, that we're going to be focusing on this year, the Falcons will kind of pick and choose and prod and see where they're going to do well at against defenses. Not that they're going to pass. That's just kind of last resort. But they try different schemes of running, right? It started off with up the middle. All right, that didn't work. Let's go guard tackle. Okay, that didn't work. Outside tackle. Okay, we're having a little bit of success. All right, bubble routes, counters, actions, stuff like that. And they finally kind of find out what was working and what's not working. And I think we're going to see that a lot from the Falcons this year. But I'm getting off topic. I digress on that. Either way, give me again the Saints minus the 3 for the Panthers. Again, the Panthers coming in still obviously with their rookie quarterback, still with Frank Reich, who again is only winning 40% of his games in the first 5 weeks, and that's obviously not just this year, but in the past as a head coach with the Colts. Always got off to a slow start. I expect that we're going to see the same, especially with the rookie quarterback who's not. He didn't look terrible. I'll give Bryce Young, what he earned. He looked okay. He connected on a couple of passes. He was able to kind of move around in the pocket a little bit. Nothing great. Very conservative. A lot of underneath stuff. Didn't really force a deep shot until he absolutely had to. So I think we're going to see that again against the Saints. And I would not. He had a really bad interception though, where he threw it just too late. 2 interceptions actually, and where they were just late on the pass, over the middle, crossing routes. And this was to Jesse Bates. Now, I fully believe that the Saints are going to take advantage of that. They're going to be watching that film, and I think somebody like Marshawn Lattimore is going to be just like licking his chops, waiting to get his chance on this. I do think they should get enough pressure to get Bryce Young into some more interceptions, and like I said, I believe this is going to end up being a one-sided game, especially if the Saints can get off to a lead up front. But I do think the Saints are going to probably fuck it up, and they're going to let them sit around and come back. Like I said, I don't think the Panthers have enough to win this game. And at the 3, I believe it would be very, very, very difficult for them to lose but still cover when it's only the 3 points. So give me the Saints minus the 3. That's the first pick. The second one I want to get to as soon as I can here, and I would ask that you do the same, is the Chargers-Titans over 45.5 points. Now, why the hell am I choosing the over on this one? Well, number one, if you watch the Chargers-Dolphins game, they just put up a shit ton of points. I believe it was a total of 70 points they combined for, so that's great, obviously. But secondly, the Chargers did not stop the run for shit. Now, I don't know why Miami didn't capitalize on that more. I know Miami, that's not their strong suit. Obviously, they're not trying to ground and pound with these other teams. But every time Raheem Mostert touched the ball, it seemed like he was ripping off a pretty decent chunk of yards, 4, 5, 6 yards, a couple of ones that were maybe even a little bit longer than that. You just had a lot of really good ground game, and they didn't want to do it. And again, it's sort of like the Falcons, I guess. If that's not their game, that's just not their game. They weren't really willing to adjust, but they honestly didn't need to adjust very much. Now, what I will say is the Chargers have an amazing secondary. Yeah, they gave up 36 points, but if you go back and watch that game, these guys are flying all over that backfield. They're deflecting passes, intercepting passes, bumping people off routes, just undercutting stuff. The secondary is good. It's not the problem at all. The Dolphins, really the way that they found their success in this game was a lot of short underneath stuff, trying to kind of throw it under the zone coverage, throw it like on drag routes, things like that. I know Waddle had a good play. I believe it was the second pass of the game. He got a good little slant route. He took it like 20 yards. So a lot of just little short underneath stuff, and that's kind of how they were getting burned. But more importantly, the position that they were struggling to cover was the tight end. They just didn't really have an answer, and I cannot remember the guy's name right now. But the Dolphins tight end, it starts with an S, Shade or Shaden, whatever the hell it is. He had a couple of really good passes, just crossing over the middle and just like wide open. He was either reading the zones really well, or they were not really accounting for him on defense because he was doing a great job. A lot of times he was the one that they were looking to when it came to like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, and the Dolphins needed to pick up the first. So really really good there. But again, the weak spot on that Chargers defense, and it didn't really get highlighted too much, was the inability to stop the run. Now, obviously, the Titans are known for the exact opposite, right? They're gonna try to run the ball. They're gonna definitely run it up the middle. They're gonna try it with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had great runs in this game. I wouldn't say that they were like the best ever, but he is still Derrick Henry. He was pulling out 5, 6, 8 yard runs on a pretty regular basis. The guy looked good. Really nothing to complain about at all, other than the fact that I don't believe he got a touchdown, or he didn't get a touchdown. But either way, Derrick Henry looked just fine, and he just, I don't want to say impressed because we're kind of expecting it now from somebody like Derrick Henry, but the guy had just like an unstoppable aura around him when he's running up the middle against this Chargers defense, and they were not willing to really get in his way. So looked really, really good there. I'm sorry, not against the Chargers, but he was playing against the Saints. So he was getting some good carries, and now he's gonna get the Chargers, who were just unable to stop Raheem Mostert. So I really, really believe the Titans are going to be in for a good game on the ground. With Tajay Spears back there as well, the guy can put up some big yards. He's going to have some big plays. He's very explosive. I would not be surprised if you see him, rip off a touchdown somewhere along the line, just because the Chargers don't cover the running backs and the tight ends very well. They're not really great at stopping the run game, and that's exactly what the Titans want to do. On the flip side of that, the Titans front seven, really, really good. Did a good job kind of slowing down the Saints run game, kind of managing that offensive line, defensive line struggle really decently. I don't think you're going to see the Chargers get a whole lot of success on the ground. Eckler looked like he bruised something or pulled something. He looked like he maybe just wasn't 100% towards the end of the game. Didn't look terrible, but didn't look great either. And again, I just don't see a lot of success coming on the ground for this Chargers team. The Titans secondary, like I was mentioning earlier against the Saints, was getting burned. They had given up at least 5 explosive plays, just throughout the course of the game, of 15 to 20 yards. Like I said, they really should have probably gotten beat by more, except they had that fumble on the first kickoff. And Dennis Allen didn't really take advantage of having a lead. He just kind of slowed everything down. But the Titans secondary is going to need some work. They need some help back there. And that's, again, saying that they were playing against the Saints, who are a slower-paced team, who just, again, I'm surprised to see how good of a passing game they have. Now they're going to play against the Chargers. Kellen Moore wants to go up-tempo, be fast. He's not the type of guy who's going to let you sit on I'm down by 7, but I'm not worried because they're just going to run the ball. No, he's going to be passing it. He's going to pass. Keenan Allen's going to get his numbers. Mike Williams should get his numbers. Parham is still going to be the red zone threat. You're going to see a lot of passing. So I think on both sides of the ball, you have the offenses wanting to play their game, and their game just coincidentally is going to be the weakness of that other defense. The Titans not being able to really guard that well, if at all, in the secondary, playing against a pass-first team with amazing pass catchers, a great quarterback, and even a running back who can catch out of the backfield. And then on the other side of that, the Chargers, having a very weak front seven, has not shown an ability to stop the run in the last 2 years, honestly. And now you're going to go up against Derrick Henry and Spears and guys who want to run the ball, who want to be gritty, who want to run right up the middle, want to run this down your throat. Yeah, maybe the Titans take longer to score because they are running the ball. They're not just, passing it and getting quick touchdowns. But there's going to be some explosive runs in this game, and they're going to be scoring. And I really, truly feel this is going to be a back-and-forth game with just they score a touchdown, they score a touchdown, they score a touchdown, they score a touchdown kind of game. Give me the over 45. I would honestly have lined this one probably closer to like 47 at least, if not 51. So give me the over on that one. And then last thing, guys, and this is a teaser, and I apologize because it's not available anymore, which is why I'm making it here at the end of the video. Earlier today, the Colts were +1. They have already been bet down to -1. The Texans' defense looked good against the Ravens. Not great, but they did look good. It's hard to look great when you're playing against Lamar Jackson and that Baltimore offense, but it is what it is. The Texans quarterback with C.J. Stroud didn't look great. They didn't score a touchdown. They got 3 field goals, and they're honestly kind of lucky to get that. The Colts, on the flip side, though, looked decent, at least with the Jaguars. Anthony Richardson showed off his ability to run. The Texans just showed that they have a hard time covering those running quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson didn't have an amazing game. He didn't have like 100 yards in the ground or anything, but he did do decently. He did pick up a lot of third downs. He was really focused on Zay Flowers, who did great. And I think in this game, you're going to see both offenses be kind of slow. Both of them are going to try to really, grind it out. The Colts have a great front seven. They've been able to stop the run. They showed off pretty well that they can't be pushed around as easily as you may have thought. Now you're going to go up against the Texans team who really wants to run the ball and kind of protect their rookie quarterback and let Dameon Pierce do a lot of the work. And I don't think they're going to find a whole lot of success on the ground there. On the flip side, though, with the Texans, you have, again, a defense who's pretty stout, who can cover pretty well, who can stop the run okay at least. But they really can't account for Anthony Richardson, and I think he's going to be the X factor in this game. I do think the Colts actually outright get the win in this one. Now you're playing 2 rookie quarterbacks, 2 pretty inexperienced offenses, so it could definitely be a coin flip. So if you want to take the money line on one side or the other, I don't blame you. Although I am definitely leaning Colts. When it was at +1 this morning, though, I was able to. It was actually +1.5. I was able to tease them up to +7.5. And then pair that with the Eagles and bring them down from -7.5 to -1.5. So that's the third play for the week is the teaser. Like I said, I apologize, it's not available at this point. If you can find a 10-point teaser, which some books do allow, I would possibly look to do that if that's something that you are interested in. I believe those are usually like -135, but it is something I would at least be interested to look at. If you could not do that, or if you're not comfortable doing that, I would really try to find some way to tease this Eagles line down. The Eagles didn't look great. They looked okay, but I believe that Patriots defense is as good as advertised. It's as good as expected. They were able to, pretty much stop the run, minimize what the Eagles could do on offense, and it ended up being a pretty defensive game overall. The Vikings, on the other end, obviously, they just lost against the Buccaneers. Nobody really looks great in that game. But if we are staying true to what we believed in the preseason and the offseason, and the Vikings not being able to stop the run, the Vikings not being an elite team in general, if at all, and the Eagles still being a Super Bowl caliber team with a great defense that just showed out here and their ability to stop the run, and a decent enough offense with a good offensive line, and we just saw the Eagles put an ass whooping on this Vikings team last year, also in week 2. Give me the Eagles again. Try to get them down to -1.5. If you need to buy it down to -7 and you don't want to, get the teaser, that's fine as well. I think either way, there's a better than not chance that the Eagles cover that. But in my particular circumstance, I was trying to get the best of both worlds, because I needed both sides of this teaser. But either way, those are the plays for this week, guys. I will be back with another video shortly that'll go over the rest of the picks, because I believe there's going to be at least 1, if not 2 more. And then also we'll kind of recap the plays that we had from last week and go over the wins and losses and dig into that a little bit further. Go over some of the games as well, because I watch all the games. I try to kind of take notes on them. I like to give you guys that information just for the people who don't get to watch every single game out there, who are just going off of box score or stats or whatever. So I'll break that down for you as well. But thank you again. I appreciate your support. We had a great week. We made some money. Hopefully, again, if you were playing $100 a play on this here, and we ended up going 10-5. You should be up about $450 right now. Let's look to continue on that, build on that. Have a great weekend. Let's fucking go. Happy football.